The wacky world of MultimediaJay.
What's up, everybody? Well, you know how when your allergies act up, you sneeze a lot one day and then you're tired the next, something like that? I'm going through one of those right now, man. I just have no energy whatsoever. Or maybe it's because I took it easy this weekend. I could do a little bit of snow shoveling to wake back up, but anyways, so some loose ends that need to be wrapped up. When I did the thing with the Sansa earlier, I mentioned that the old battery was bulging. I showed you the new battery, but I found the old one where it had fallen into my desk when I was doing all the switching out. Here's the original Sansa battery from 2006, and if you lift it up, that sucker is bulging. I don't know if that's normal or not. I'm assuming it's not. I'm assuming it's not, but that sucker is bulging, and its service life had gone to complete crap, and I imagine the next step would have been for it to burst and spit acid all over the inside of an otherwise perfectly fine MP3 player. So, yay, old Sansa battery. Goodbye. It's also worth noting this thing has a little bit of a plastic thing on the end, so I don't know, maybe this served the same purpose as that shim that I made for it. Then the folks who made the replacement didn't copy the design perfectly. Anyways, here we have a thing full of screws and precision screwdrivers and a little one of those. I'm guessing these tab things are meant to, prove that, they're basically warranty tabs, I'm going to call them, where someone's voided their warranty when they break these tabs off to get at the screws that are underneath. So what did I take apart that I've got all these screws sitting around? Well, it's a very sad day. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the sad remains of my Canon Elura camcorder, the first ever camcorder that I had for my YouTubing. I picked this up back in 2006 because my Kodak digital camera that I was recording the videos with at the time couldn't get a good enough picture to do blue screening with, plus I wanted something with manual white balance, and this thing is actually the only camera that I've ever had that actually has an external microphone port. It's not on here, it's down here on this thing, the back piece, I took this thing apart because it stopped working, and I wanted to see if it was getting power off of the power board, because the power jack on this thing was always been a little sketchy, so I was wondering if it had let go and the thing just wasn't getting any power, but nope. The power circuit's working just fine. The failure happened somewhere else in the camera, and so it's all over for this thing. I really don't feel like taking this apart any further, just to see if I can find what might have happened, or if something shorted, or if something let go. But this camera really, I'm dropping parts all over the floor here. Let's pick those up. This camera, actually, I'm just trying to get this door open in where the tapes used to go. Yeah, this camera actually ran off of DV tapes, and this thing's been slowly falling apart since 2008. The tape mechanism died very shortly after my old nature video, Return of the Pac, The Splendor of Spring. And so I've been using it as a souped-up webcam with its FireWire port ever since. Anyways, sad to say, the rest of this thing has finally died. I could finish taking it apart just to see what's where and things like that, get more experience taking things apart and stuff, but I think it's a lost cause at this point. This camera was great in its time, but of course, it ran off of DV tapes. DV tapes were a mess to deal with. You had to hook up via FireWire to the computer, so you had to use the FireWire jacks, and then the good news is that my software, the ULEAD Video Studio that I was using at the time, would actually rewind the tape and take over the camera in order to extract the footage off of it. But getting the footage off of a tape camcorder is just a mess. I mean, it really was. It kept rewinding and fast forwarding. It was like a VCR on autopilot, and it was a little clunky compared to the SD card solid state cameras we have nowadays. So I'm not going to miss this thing. I mean, there is some nostalgic value because it's the last camera I had with an actual viewfinder. So, it's some nostalgia and stuff like that. Office chair squeaking as usual. Yeah, so I got one chair that squeaks and another that pops. I have no luck with chairs. But anyways, so yeah, first blue screen type videos I did with this thing, and all my I wouldn't say higher quality, but higher recording quality videos that I made back in the mid-2000s were all because of this thing. It's just too bad it's been slowly dying ever since, and hopefully the more solid state devices that I've replaced this with, which also cost less than this thing originally did, by the way. This thing was $330 back in the day. hopefully the more solid state cameras that I have nowadays will actually work a little better. Hey, speaking of cameras, while the Elura is at the end of its rope, the Samsung that fell in the soup about a year or two ago is not. Here's a shocker. Ready for this? It works, and I mean it really does still work. Problem is, it looks like crap because it had this part up to about here dive into a thing full of soup. So there's soup all over the lens and stuff. Now, I'm wondering, based on how the lens and the Elura went together, I'm wondering, I don't know, I think this might be a lost cause too. I don't think I can put this lens in this camera, and also, I don't think this is totally watertight, so it may be the case that there's dirty stuff on the other end of the lens, but now I know a little bit about taking these things apart. I wonder if I can get at the lens on this thing. Yeah, look at all that crap, and get some of this stuff cleaned off. Because otherwise, everything actually still works on this thing. Matter of fact, let's do some footage with this sucker. Ladies and gentlemen, behold, Soup-A-Vision. Yeah, it's a little bit tinted because of the soup that got all over the lens, but this thing still works pretty well, although I never liked the microphone in this thing. I think the standard def Sony actually does a better job at recording than this thing in terms of sound quality and stuff. But yeah, zoom all the way in with its big, huge standard def zoom until it goes out of focus because there's so much soup on the lens that it can't really see that kind of fine detail. It was never that good in low light anyways. Back it all off. And just for comparison, let's get the standard def Sony just to compare this stuff. And for comparison's sake, here's the standard def Sony in automatic mode, looking at the same stack of video games and some movies. And let's zoom in on the same Capcom Classics collection. So yeah, I wonder if there is hope for the Samsung. Focus! I wonder if there is hope for the Samsung if we can clean all that crap off the lens. And I wonder if I could disassemble the lens and clean the other side too. I don't know what I can use to do that with. Maybe glass cleaner for like eyeglasses or something. But yeah, might be some hope for this thing after all. Okay, enough of this fake HD stuff. Time to go back to real HD. So that's one camera down for the count, and another camera that might still have some potential. I wonder. We'll figure it out. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.